The Real Estate Show, January 10th and 11th of 2015. Pete Belcaster and Joe Brett, the Real Estate Guys, with you here this weekend. And thanks for joining us. You know, we get together with you every weekend here on KMED. Joe's a broker with RE/MAX Ideal Brokers. I'm a real estate broker with John L. Scott. Every week we talk about issues facing real estate. Gosh, you know, we were just talking, 2014 was a pretty good year all around for everybody, you know, and people are always happy. It's much better when people are happy.
Now our job is to convince Pete that we're going to have a good 2015 and to get him into the
I said it's going to be a good year.
Yeah.
I said it's going to be a good year. The only thing I've said this, the only thing that concerns me is that the valuations, when the assessor comes in here and we're into double-digit valuation increases in lots of parts of Jackson County. That's what kind of got in trouble in 2008. You know, so a normal kind of market, good growth for an investor, 3 to 5%, kinds of things like that. And we're above that. We're way above that. That's the only thing that concerns me. Other than that, I'm good.
I don't think we're going to be buying and flipping stuff for 40 or 50K profit in 6 months.
No,
I don't see that on the horizon.
Yeah,
that's
not really
that's
true.
That's kind of where we took a wrong turn there. That was not what real estate was meant to be or as traditionally performed as.
Well, our listeners are keenly aware of all the different facets of the real estate market, and I know many of you own your own rentals. Many of you manage your own rentals, and some of you have property managers manage your rentals.
Probably amassed some pretty good wealth as a result of that.
You absolutely have. It's a good investment. The one thing we've learned over this is you don't want to manage your own
I don't
rentals.
want any part of that mess.
It's like, what's my other rule? First, I have two rules, basically. Don't manage your own rental, and don't ever co-sign with your children. I mean, those are the two things.
One of those you've done well on.
I'm 50% there. But anyway, that's the way that is. Laurel Adams, she's the owner of All Cities Property Management, and she's been part of the Real Estate Show, going on 4 years, I think, with us. And it's so nice to have you here. And first of all, Happy New Year, Laurel. How are you?
Happy New Year to you. I'm doing great.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, tell us what 2014 was like. We're talking about the real estate market itself. 2014 in the rental business. How was it for you?
How would you summarize
the rental business?
It was one of the easier years we've had in my office, and I think for others also, because we didn't have 20 turnarounds every month. We had very few turnarounds. People stayed put more than they did the previous year. And we didn't have that many rentals. I mean, the market, they rented before the other people even moved out.
We talked to you, you had 300 units, you had 3 available to rent for most of the year.
Yeah, for most of the year. So it's kind of like I would have a vacancy. I would get a 3-day notice, and within the next 2 weeks, I started advertising that rental, having showings. And I would have a showing where 6 people would show up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, whatever. And I invariably got 1 to 3 applications out of that group. And between those applicants, one was chosen. And we moved one person out and got the carpets clean. We're clean within 1 or 2 days. And the next guy moved right in over the top.
And that's what most of the year was like for you.
That's most of the year. And, that's good for our owners because they had very few down non-paying days.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It's just, for most, it was a really good year. We did have... and people don't want to talk about it, but we do have a certain percentage of our population here in the Rogue Valley that just didn't do well, and they're not doing well. Mm-hmm. Our people that are getting those minimum wage jobs are looking for places to rent. There are still people that lost their jobs. There are still people that couldn't pay their rent. Mm-hmm. We did spend a lot of time in eviction court.
Really?
And it was actually for us people, for those of us that are in the management position, we really had a social hour because when it came to time, we go, oh, hi, and we just had a grand old time because it's like we knew we were all going to be there.
And one of the things we learned, if you're going to go through the eviction process, there's a process you go through, right, to get there.
Oh, absolutely.
And you follow all that.
And the court system has done so many shifts and changes this last year. I don't know how a lot of our owners out there were able to navigate the system. Because those of us that are on the professionals that do it every day, I can't tell you how many times I had something filled out wrong or they changed how we were going to fill something out. I had to go back to the office and do it all over again and come back down.
To the court?
For the court system,
circuit court? Which
What, are they
court?
screwed
the
up
Jackson
that much?
County.
Yeah,
well, no,
Jackson
they
County
changed.
Circuit Courts, it must be, right?
Yeah.
Well, they changed what was happening, and they had a lot of turnover. They had a tremendous amount of employee turnover at the windows, and it literally threw all of us into a tizzy. That was the most difficult thing of our year, was managing our evictions.
Dealing with government, see, and your business. That's not unusual, is it? We hear that all the time. Okay.
So what
did you do? What did you end up doing? So were you successful in your evictions and the kinds of things? Why did you evict these people?
Well, they can't. Well, we evict people when they can't pay rent. Every now and then we evict someone for behavior, or because they're not.
But it's mostly because of non-payment of rent.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Tough circumstances.
Okay, it makes sense.
Yeah. And so the Southern Oregon Rental Owners Association, as a group, we got together and we've been kind of studying what happened at the courts, and we're trying to kind of mediate and trying to kind of figure out. And one of the things I started doing was I started making a binder, of all the forms and how to fill them out. And so that I'm going to put together a manual for the Rental Owners Association so that people can go down there and see how those forms should be filled out.
Oh, good.
Because it's just so difficult. It's just,
How can it be so difficult? Well, how is it so difficult? I mean, who makes the forms up? I mean, look at the real estate forms. They got a whole new classes again, on new real estate forms that I'll be attending tomorrow. I'm going to be going to tomorrow morning. Anyway,
there's just a lot of things on there. So anyway, the Rental Owners Association is really helping to mitigate. They're talking to the people at the courts, and that's some of the things that the Rental Owners Association is for our community. They have no clue. They have no clue that there's people like me that are on the board right now, and where we work behind the hours free to help make things better for everybody else. And so that's, but that was one of the big issues. The other issue was our tenants are just getting very smart and very savvy, and they just know how to work the system.
You've said that, and you've warned property owners,
especially
those who just go it alone and kind of do it on their own.
They just know. I'm on the, it's interesting. I'm on the Medford Accountability Board for Youth in Trouble, through Mediation Works, and it's a nonprofit community thing that I just do.
Add that to her list.
Yeah, but anyway, it's interesting because it's the youth that come in there. They get together with their peer groups. They get themselves into trouble, right?
Okay.
And if they want to figure out how to get together, they ask all their friends, and that's how they figure out how to get around all this. Well, I was sitting there last night, and I was thinking, oh, my God, this is just like landlord-tenant law. Because what the tenants do is tenants all get together and go, hey, I'm having a problem with this landlord. What do I do? What do you think I should do? And so they all start looking on the computer. They all start talking. So, just like we have our group, they have their group too. Sure. We all have groups. We're all groupies.
We're all part of some
groupies.
Group.
Yep. We're all part of a group. So it's not a negative thing, and you don't have to be fearful of it. You just have to know what you're doing and follow the rules, and then let them do what they're going to do, and we just have to mitigate, and take care of it.
And boy, having a good mediator, that's why you want someone like a property manager like Laurel to manage your property.
Oh, I'm a great mediator.
Because mediator.
If they're not hearing me, I just raise my voice.
Yeah, that doesn't really
work.
That's
not mediation?
The tenants are much savvier than listening to somebody yell at them.
Well, you know what I found out?
Probably not qualified to raise a dog now that I think about it.
Well, speaking of those dogs, there's some people in town that used to call me a pit bull. So I've retired my pit bull. It's in a cage and it's peaceful, and I feed it nice. And I'm finding that the mediation technique and being kind and listening is far better than bringing out the pit bull.
Yeah.
See,
it's like I put the pit bull away. I already went through the pit bull stage. It didn't work.
It
doesn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't work. Good for you, Laurel, because you become. I mean, the more we've learned about it is that it's a great deal of mediation because you're kind of in the middle. You got a landowner, or you got the property owner, the investor who owns the property, who's hired you to take care of their property.
Yeah, and they expect me to take care of it.
Bet.
Yes, and then you've got the renter on the other side who you basically kind of contract with who's going to live in the property to take care of it and manage that.
Right.
And those two are just going to be, it seems, are going to be in conflict a lot of the time.
They often are.
But they don't have to be, do they? I suppose, but they're going to be no matter what, because some people are just going to be that way.
To have a handle on the rules, the regulations, and the guidelines that regulate all that, that's where the professionalism really
you
comes
better
from.
have
there.
it all out and written and inspections and things like that in a property. And that's
The problem is that neither one of them may or may not know what their rights
Yes,
are.
Right.
yeah.
You have to know what your rights are.
Yeah.
And for property owners, I think one of the biggest obstacles to being successful is knowing where your rights are and where they aren't. So you have a box. And just because you own the property doesn't mean yada, yada, yada.
Right.
And owners just have a really hard time figuring out where their views and their opinions and their beliefs fit in that box. So just like I, the property manager, also have to figure out where I fit in that box. I'm supposed to be responsible for this and this and this, but I don't have the discretion or the legalities to do this, this, and this.
Right.
So, I mean, all of us have a box. And I think most of it is just trying to figure out what skills, what responsibilities, and what expectations everyone expects from each other.
We're talking with Laurel Adams. She's the owner of All Cities Property Management here on the Real Estate Show. You can check out Laurel's website or her rental properties at allcitiesprop.com is the website there.
And do you remember how we had no 3 bedrooms and everybody wanted 3 bedrooms?
Yeah.
And
Now you have them, don't you?
Now I have like 6 3-bedrooms and no 1 or 2s. And it's just cyclic. The rental is cyclic. It's just cyclic.
That's something I didn't think I would hear you say.
I know.
Early in this year.
I have all of these 3-bedroom units. It's just amazing.
And they're
to me.
probably gone by Tuesday morning after the show this
I
weekend.
hope so.
And the people who moved out of them, where did they go? What happened?
Oh, guess what they did? Most of them.
Bought houses?
Bought a house?
They bought houses.
Good for them.
So
yeah.
that's what seems to be a little of a trend here, isn't it?
Yeah.
That,
Interest rates are still
Yes.
pretty
interest rates
favorable.
remain
Yep.
low.
Yep.
And in the
Yep.
price range last week when Michelle Tall and Bob Gervais were in here, that $200,000 to $300,000 price range.
Yes,
Red hot.
that's
Is
exactly what they're.
is the
Yeah.
market
Yep.
that way.
Yep.
So the renters are moving out. Well, I will just. It doesn't matter because you're going to rent those places again, aren't you? I mean, you don't have a problem in renting those units, those 3-bedroom places, will you?
Well, I've had some of these on the rent list for like 2 weeks, which is
Yeah, but
which
you
is
weren't on the
unusual
That's a long
for
time
me.
for you.
You weren't on the radio show then.
Well,
We're gonna
thank
fix
you.
this.
But also, you have to remember that we had holidays.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
that's
mean,
true.
you know.
And I forgot
Yeah.
about that. That's
Come
why.
on, I mean, they haven't
Well,
even taken down the Christmas tree yet.
Well, we tell people about home ownership versus renting, and again, from the New York Times. All right, the New York Times, home ownership is the path to wealth for most Americans, and the New York Times says here, home ownership long has been central to Americans' ability to amass wealth. The net worth of homeowners over time has significantly outpaced that of renters, who tend as a group to accumulate little, if any, wealth.
Right.
And the study that they did says the study found that the average net worth of a homeowner in this country is $194,500, is 36 times greater than that of a renter
Wow.
whose accumulated wealth is at $5,400.
Wow.
However, I've been renting to retired folk
Yeah.
whose CPAs and whose financial advisors have looked at their life age, looked at their probable lifespan, and
Yep.
said, don't buy, rent,
Yeah.
and have a good time. You have enough money to pay rent for the
Right,
rest of your
right,
life.
right.
Don't go into a house. Let them take care of the roof.
But the people you're
yeah.
talking about that are people like me who are like at the retirement age who've already done
you're
that,
just a young
right?
chicken.
I mean, they've already done that.
Yeah.
Those are perfect people to be renters, absolutely, and downsize their home and
So
change
we got
that.
the young
Talk to a
people
lot of
and the
now.
older people.
Well,
I like to call them the more mature, wiser people.
Well, it's really good for me to hear you say that the people who are moving out of the renters are buying,
And we're still in
and
this.
they're probably young people, young families. They're in that range, and you've got all those perfect storms of low interest rates and the price range
You know,
you get to.
Maybe
know
some
what
of
else?
those families that had financial setbacks, had short sales, had foreclosures.
That's what I was going to say.
getting
Isn't it
back
'3
in the
years?
game.
Isn't it?
Yep.
Wasn't it 3?
Down
So-
to 2 in
Some are
some,
even
in some
less.
cases.
Okay, so
yeah.
you guys, here we go. We got a bunch of 2 and 3 year people
Right.
that are all set to
ready
buy
to get back
again.
in the game.
That's right.
Smarter, more savvy, ready
Yep.
to go. And
Yeah.
that's just a huge benefit for everybody because they get back in that home ownership game. That's really where they wanted to get back into in the first place. And the window is still open to own a home for about the same price that you rent a home And
Yeah.
we're not going to say that on this show for very much longer. And who knows
We'll see how long
we would have to do the show
say that.
until we would be able to say it again down the road.
Well, who knows? But it's good to hear that these things are healthy. I mean, all what we're hearing is continuation of what has built up.
And I think 2015 is going to be a fabulous year. I think abundance. If you read reports and from both like the New York Times and from the economists and that group versus the people that study.
It depends where you are, though. It depends where you are, Laurel.
And if you look at the stars and the astrologers, you look at them too.
Okay.
If you look at all of them, almost all of them are saying 2015 is starting with abundance.
Okay.
This
I know.
I like
this
that.
is the year of abundance.
Last year's, I've been taking a little whooping. So I look forward to that little turnaround.
I encourage
a lot
it.
of us have been laboring through some.
That's
We'll
right.
see what happens. We're going to talk about that more. I know on Tuesday during our cable TV show. That'll be an RVTV in the Charter cable system. Anyway, the Real Estate Show repeats at 9 o'clock on Sunday morning here on AM 1440 and FM 107.7. We're coming right back. Right after this, more with Laurel Adams. We're talking property management here on the Real Estate Show. The Real Estate Show rolls on here on KMED, AM and FM this weekend of January 10th and 11th. Pete and Joe, the real estate guys, with you. And if you ever want to get a hold of us, we'd love talking to you. If you have any questions about our show or you need any real estate advice, we love talking to folks about that, helping you gain some value to your property, help you in those kinds of ways. Email's a great way to do it. It's just Pete or Joe at realestateshoworegon.com. And we say we love, it's fun to talk to. It's great to talk to people who listen to our show, and
it is. We learn. We get some little tidbits from them that we can bring to the program. And I always tell people, take a shot on us. We've been sitting here with these experts in the industry for about 7 years now, and we're bound to have learned something along the way, and help you out with that any way we can. I
want to draw people's attention to Jackson Soil Water Conservation District. The management classes, that they've got coming up. You need to sign up like this week. I would go to jswcd.org. And you can get the exact times and all that information about the pasture management classes and those stewardship classes that are going to take place this winter. Because, I hate to tell you, but we haven't had any snow or any rain, for a while again. And I hope, oh my God, I just don't want to get back into that again. And we haven't heard the result of the WISE, the water for irrigation streams in the economy, who've been on our show. They were up in Portland before the Oregon Business Council, and haven't heard how they did up there. But that could be a major, major economic thing on all sorts of things in our valley. Hope they did well.
I'm guessing they really have their ducks in a row, and they're going to gain that support because the economic impact delivered by that to this local region would be well worth the investment.
A lot of stuff going on. Anyway, we're with Laurel Adams. She's the owner of All Cities Property Management here on the Real Estate Show. And Laurel says that, about moving out, all right, or when you're the tenant and moving in. One of the things we're writing some scripts with Laurel, and she emphasized about we have some of the cleanest, I forget how did you say that? The
cleanest
units.
Yeah.
And I said, that was kind of odd to me. I'd never why are you saying that? Well, why is that important? What does that mean?
I will tell you that probably 80% of the people that I show a unit to, the first thing they say as they walk in is, wow, you should have seen the other dumps I've seen. This place is so clean. And I say, well, we have professional cleaners that come through here. And I say, and do this cleaning. I said, however, if you should choose to move into one of my units and it's clean like this, you have an expectation it will look the same way, or I will get it cleaned by the professional person that cleaned it originally. And we take pictures, and then the cleaners take a picture of everything they clean. So when the tenants come in and say, you charged me $225 and I spent 20 hours cleaning this unit, and they're like raging with anger. And I go, this is how I do use mediation. Wow, you sound very upset. Let me look into this. We may have made a mistake.
Uh-huh.
I go, I have pictures on the computer. Let's look at them together. So we go over to the computer, we go to the move out for that tenant, and we start clicking on the pictures. Oh, I guess I forgot that. Oh, I guess I forgot that. Here's an oven that hasn't been cleaned at all. Here's, the pans that go in the stove tops. grungy. I'm just giving you an example. Windows with streaks. The little, where you open the window, the tracks. Dirty and dusty and flies and stuff.
It's one thing I think our listeners, we've all learned from you, is that you better to take photographs.
Oh, yes.
Again, I know you do it in your business as a part of the professional. Again, if you manage your own, you need to do the same stuff. I mean, you have to be able to document. And you do that really well, I have to say. You do that really well.
That's systems. We have systems in place. Yeah. So what I want to do today is I want owners to pretend they're a tenant. And I want them to pretend they're going to walk into their vacant unit. And I want them to drive up in front of the house, look at the yard, look at the front steps, walk into the house, and I want them to look at what the tenant's looking at. And so if you're charging $650 rent for this, let's say it's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, $650 for a 2-bedroom, 1-bath is about the average amount, depending on where and et cetera. So if there's 20 units on the market that are 2 bedrooms, 1-bath or units, and they're all $650, the people who are looking for the 2 bedrooms, 1-bath, they're going to go to all or some of the 20 units to look at them, correct? Now, if they're all the same price, who are they going to choose? And why are they going to make those choices? So the one thing I want to say is cleaning and carpets. Not all carpet cleaners are created equal. And renting the carpet cleaner down at Fred Meyer's for $29.99
doesn't generally do it.
What happens is it may do it temporarily, but a lot of the soap remains in the carpet. And by the time the tenant actually moves in, it gets matted down, the stains come up, and you're going to have complaints. Now, there's 2 ways of looking at it. There's one way that says, well, it's inexpensive and I can just get them moved in and I don't have to worry about it. Well, that's all fine and dandy, but the same person that would allow and be okay with that, less than clean carpet, is the same person that's probably going to do the most damage to your unit because they don't care.
Oh, okay.
So if you present a really clean, professional clean carpet where it really smells good and the walls are clean, you don't have to paint between every unit. You don't have to make it look like new. A used house is a used house. And when people say, well, are you going to paint? I say, no. They go, why not? I said, because we painted several years ago. We've patch painted and there's some holes. But once you move in and put pictures on the wall, it will look fine.
Oh, sure. Okay.
But no, I'm not going to paint the walls.
You don't have to paint. No,
You don't have to. You don't have to make it perfect. Now, that kind of tenant, they need to go somewhere else because they'll never be happy. They'll always want something fixed or something. So that's another issue. And I remind them, this is a used house. This is not a new house. Perhaps you would be more comfortable locating a new unit somewhere.
Into a new unit.
Yeah, into a new unit. Maybe that would make you more comfortable. So you want to walk into your unit and you want to pretend that you're going to live there. I mean, you need to think about living there. And when you go to remodel, when you go to make improvements in your house, you need to think about, owners will call me and say, well, I want you to raise the rent. Raise the rent? Well, I just put a new roof on. I said, so? Well, I just spent $12,000 on a new roof. I need you to raise the rent. I go, the tenant doesn't care about the roof. If you put $12,000 and remodeled the kitchen and the bathroom, I could raise the rent.
I could raise the rent for that, yeah.
But putting $12,000 on the roof is great for your investment, but it's not for their investment.
Ooh.
They don't really care if the roof is new. All they care is it doesn't leak.
Right.
And what
if it does, it's on the landlord.
Do you have to go into mediation with landlords over this kind of thing?
Yes.
I would think so.
Yes, yes, because they just, many of them are homeowners. They've been homeowners for so many years. They've forgotten what it's like to be a renter. They just, just recently before I moved into my new house that I did a remodel on, I was a renter. And I got reminded what it was like to be a renter. It was a wonderful opportunity. And yes, I did have a few problems. And yes, I did have to call my landlord. And yes, my landlord did not send my security deposit back within 31 days. It was 60 days. We had a few words.
Because you know the rules. See, you know the rules.
Yeah, it's like, come on, guys, what's going on here? So, point to my story is a renter's aspect or an owner's aspect is 2 different things. And the one area I want to get into, which is what we're going to talk more about on Tuesday, is we want to talk about the new quantum physics that is out there, that is emerging. We're starting to see, you'll be starting to hear more about the fact that medicine and science is viewing everything instead of being solid or air. They're seeing it as all energy. So everything's energy. So all we are is bundles of little bouncing atoms of energy. We're a little energy. Do you remember the movie Cocoon?
Mm-hmm.
You remember?
Oh, yeah.
Remember the little light bodies that were flying around in the swimming pool?
No. But anyway, okay.
But that's way back. Well, that's kind of a woo-woo thing. I never thought, wow. Well, that's what they're referring to. It's just little light energies. We're kind of like little light energies. Well, the new quantum physics says that with this energy, the energy is within the people, it's around the people, and it also stays in the house.
So this is going to so this quantum physics in housing. Correct, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm saying quantum physics and
energy. Now, I've heard of feng shui. We've used a number of people have done that. So is this what you're kind of getting to? Because we're going to come up a break here. So you have to explain all this on the other side. Is that what this is kind of coming to? Is that what and it's a big thing?
Yes, that's where we're going.
It's a big thing.
Yeah, quantum physics is
quantum
the new
physics.
Yeah, and especially in medicine, you're going to see it in medicine.
Who'd have thought that on the real estate show, huh?
We'll talk about frequency afterwards. Yeah.
All right, we're with Laurel Adams from All Cities Property Management here on the Real Estate Show. This show repeats at 9 o'clock on Sunday morning here on AM 1440 and 106.7 FM as well. And all of our shows are youtube.com/Real Estate Show Oregon. We're coming right back after this. The Real Estate Show continues here on KMED this weekend of January 10th and 11th of 2015. Pete Belcastro and Joe Brett, the Real Estate Guys, with you. And hope you're having a good weekend and enjoy it. Hopefully we get some, like to see some snow around our region. Gosh, here we are already back in January, early January. It's cold, but need some snow. Anyway, next week we'll talk about mortgage interest rates with Guy Giles from Summit Funding will be along. And I want you to make sure you check out jswcd.org, the upcoming classes, those rural classes, stewardship classes, pasture management classes, and things like that. Check them out there. You'll want to get into those, that's for sure. Okay, we're talking with Laurel Adams from All Cities Property Management here on the Real Estate Show this weekend. And I don't see. I'm old school.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I
was
when you've changed my thinking on mediation for sure.
Right.
I agree with you. You get so much better by mediating things than like Joe yelling or screaming at somebody. But
right.
I mean, it makes so much sense to me. I don't get though the energy parts of the things you're talking about. I mean, right. But it's a concept that most people, unless you've kind of studied it and really can grasp it, right.
It's really hard. But what it is, it's a feeling thing. And all of us at some time in our life walked into a room or walked in somewhere and you felt not good. It's about feeling. And you just walk in and you go, oh, this doesn't feel right. And you may even turn around and walk out, like in a store, even a grocery store.
A smell might trigger
or
that, right?
Smell.
Something
it could be
like
a
that?
smell. It could be, it could be the temperature. Yeah. So
Okay.
it's all about feeling. And this is the thing that, we're not trained to feel. We're trained to think.
Right. But
Okay.
Does clean,
But-
you're talking about cleaning. Does that make me feel better if I
Yes.
walk into a place that is clean,
Yes.
smells good, has
Yeah.
kind of a...
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
So basically what you're doing is you're cleaning off the residue of people that were there.
the previous people who
the
were
previous people, their food, their body oils, their all of the things that you do when you live in a house.
there. And I've sold properties, Laura, where the buyers have come in and said, well, I'm going to repaint because I don't want anything left
Right.
of the previous
Exactly.
owners.
Yeah.
Same thing.
And basically that covers up that. So what we're talking about is feeling here. And we're talking about energy, what they call residue energy that's been left. If things happened in that house, it reminds me of a house where there was a murder. A young girl was killed years and years and years ago, right around the corner from where I lived. And I remember thinking then, oh my God, who would ever want to live in that place? Because the energy of that whole scenario is there.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see it, but there's a feeling, and it's an energy that it lingers in homes, lingers on walls and around in the carpets and whatnot. So if you just think about the fact that we don't have to go into the whole woo-woo of it. We just can say say that a house represents lots of things. It's what you see in it. Does it have a gas stove? Does it have wall-to-wall carpets? Does it have wood floors? Those are the physical items that a house has. A house also has an energy. It has a history. It has a past. It has feelings that's embedded in the walls and around the home. So when I walk into a house, and I've been doing this, and I don't feel good, or I know there's been a lot of anger and hitting, domestic violence in a house, and I walk in and maybe a house isn't renting, and people are walking in, and I'm watching them kind of like cower and like feel like I can see by their body language that they don't feel right in the house. When 2 or 3 people come and they have that feeling, not good look,
when you see
what
this,
I do is I do an energy clearing.
So you actually then will come in after
I do it, yeah.
Because you see this. You see the physical
I feel
kind of
it.
change.
Well, I
you
see
feel
it,
you feel that.
And I see
and
from
you
the
can
people.
change the energy in the house,
right.
correct?
And that's what feng
what you do.
shui. And that's what feng shui is. Feng shui says you change the energy in the house by putting furniture in certain areas and by making sure that certain things on the property, in the yard, that are located in the right positioning, okay? With feng shui, it's all about position.
Right.
Okay.
Now, have you been able to see results from what you've been doing?
Yes.
You really?
I did it in my own house.
Okay.
Even in my own house. So I'm one class short of being a feng shui practitioner. I spent a whole year studying that.
Okay.
And so all this, energy and quantum physics, sciences, because I'm a dental hygienist by training, the quantum physics is it's understandable to me. So the new quantum physics is very interesting, and they're going to be using it in medicine. It's already being used. And what that is they're treating illness, tumors, disease with frequency and with energy. Instead of operating, they'll be killing tumors with frequency. So it's like instead of doing radiation, they'll be doing frequency. It's energy. It's putting energy and basically balancing the bad with the good and neutralizing. So we're going to neutralize the houses.
Can you get a higher rent if you have gone through the house and
No.
made it these ways? So that doesn't really matter to it. It's just the feeling, and when I walk in potential renter, that I want to feel good about this place that I'm in, or I'm not going to rent it.
Well, let me make it real simple. If you have a house that has bad energy, you will attract the equal energy.
Because the people who are going to rent it are not going to be affected by the bad energy.
No,
they're
it's
going
not.
in fact, they're going to probably absorb it or feel it and want to be there.
It's going to be their energy level.
Yeah,
so
the bad energy.
So the bad energy attracts the bad energy, in essence.
How in the world do you market that in terms of
a
rental?
Don't.
How do you say that to landlords and
you
things?
Don't.
I mean,
you don't. And on Tuesday night, we're going to go into the story of my Ghostbuster. I've had a Ghostbuster. I actually had a ghost in a house, 2 tenants in a row. They came to me and they said, "There's a ghost in the house." I said, "Oh yeah, right, okay." And so they each told me the same story. In the middle of the night, this female ghost would come and turn on a hall light and open up all the bedroom doors.
See, I believe those kinds of things. Yes.
All right. Well, if you believe that, that's what I'm talking about. Energies. A ghost is an energy.
See, I always feel good in my house. I guess you walk into different places showing clients. Some feel better than others. I've not really thought about that, but now I will when I go into them. We're going to be out of time here, so we're up against the time. Laurel, of course, how can people get a hold of you to check you out or talk to you if they need to about rental properties or that kind of thing?
Well, phone number is 541-601-8811. I'm sorry, I got you mixed up. And then allcitiesprop.com.
Allcitiesprop.com. Well, Laurel's always terrific. Nice to visit with you. Happy New Year to you. We'll talk to you soon and can't wait to see what we'll bring along next. She'll be on our show Tuesday at 6 o'clock on the RBTV cable channels. That'll do it for the Real Estate Show this weekend for Pete and Joe. Have a great week, everybody, as we move along in January of 2015. We'll talk to you next Saturday right here on KMED, and God bless everyone.
Thank you for listening to the original Real Estate Show with Pete Belcastro and Joe Brett, the Real Estate Guys. For advice, guidance, or counsel on any of our topics, or to watch a replay of today's show, visit our website at realestateshoworegon.com. This show is sponsored by RE/MAX, Ideal Brokers of Southern Oregon, Tycor Title, All Cities Property Management, and the Jackson Soil and Water Conservation District. We'll continue our weekly quest to enhance the value of your property and to make you a smart real estate consumer when we gather every Saturday and Sunday on KMED for the one and only original real estate show.